You just got your hands on a brand new camera system to take pictures underwater. Can't wait to go diving and show your friends and family. But do you know some of the basic techniques and skills that you're going to need to employ to, one, be safe, not do harm to the environment, and capture great images? If not, stick around. Welcome to Everything Scuba. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to Everything Scuba. I am Lyle, and if you're a first-time viewer to our channel, welcome. We are glad you are here. We are here talking about, everything surrounding the sport that we love, and if you love it too, if you love to scuba dive into Everything Scuba, hit that subscribe button down below, ring the notification bell, join us for upcoming episodes. So this is a continuation on our series on underwater photography. And as you're aware, if you've been a viewer of our channel, Josh and I, my co-host, we are very much into the instructional aspects of scuba diving. And so regardless of the type of camera system that you have, remember, you're a scuba diver first. And so we are going to give you our top 10 tips on how to, one, not cause harm to yourself, number two, not cause harm to the environment, and number three, capture great images and great video underwater. That's the whole purpose of owning that camera system in the first place, correct? So let's get started. The first and probably the most important tip that I'm going to give you. What is the primary objective of scuba diving? Primary objective, come back safely from every dive. Secondary objective, take cool pictures, take cool video, go see whatever you're going to see. We cannot lose sight of the fact that we are in an alien environment being kept alive by our scuba system. So what does that mean? It is so easy to get distracted by all the cool things that you're taking pictures of or video of and not pay attention to your gas consumption, not pay attention to your non-decompression limits or your depth or position in the water and the hazards involved. So we have to be divers first. We have to dive first. And we have to then have a dive plan, and we need to stick to that dive plan. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been out on a dive searching for a particular animal or critter. I've taken cool pictures of a variety of things. I haven't seen what I wanted to take a picture of. I'm at my safety stop, and hey presto, he shows up. Well, my dive's done. I'm at my safety stop. Too often divers will get themselves in trouble by trying to chase down that animal or critter and exceeding either their gas consumption rate or non-decompression limit, and suddenly they're in trouble. Dive first. We are all aware of the first rule of scuba diving, which is never hold your breath. Are you aware of the theoretical second rule of scuba diving? Don't touch stuff, okay? Hands off the animals and the critters. Keep your hands to yourself and keep your camera to yourself. So we want to be fully conscious and aware of, one, our ability to harm the environment for that animal or critter, and two, its ability to create problems for us. So for example, you decide to take a picture of this little yellowhead jawfish as he's coming up out of his nest in the sand, and you decide just to lie right down on the sand, unaware of the fact that there is a stonefish or a scorpionfish that is in that position, and he's going to give you a nasty surprise. So suddenly that's a hazard to you. Or you decide to take a picture of this turtle as he lifts off of that sand, and as you kick like crazy to catch up to him, you are billowing up and just tearing into the sand itself, and you may have just wrecked this little guy's house. So let's be aware of our environment. I see it all the time. I was one of them. You finish your open water diver course and you want to rush out and take pictures and videos so you can share it with friends and family and share that excitement. I get it, I really do. But first, you've got to dial in your buoyancy. You need to be able to control yourself underwater in terms of both weighting and trim position and also your breath control. Many times your breath is going to be the savior that will let you lower yourself down gently to get a great picture of an underwater animal or a particular scene, and then also be able to inhale and lift yourself away from that without having to kick and skull and disturb the environment, which was our previous tip. The other thing we need to think of in terms of buoyancy is the camera system itself. So if you're swimming with a little GoPro system, no big deal. But if you've got a larger camera rig, we want to typically set that up in a couple of different ways. One, it may want to be neutrally buoyant, and so if you let go of your camera, it'll just float beside you. It won't sink, it won't float to the surface. If I'm taking photographs using a tripod system, I might want that system to be a little negatively buoyant so I can gently set the camera down. If there's any little bit of surge, it's not going to tip the camera over. So we're going to have an episode in the upcoming series talking all about the buoyancy related to your camera system. So there are times when you are going to put yourself in a position to capture an image where you have to be able to control that body position underwater. Right now I'm going to show you a picture of a little banded coral shrimp that I took out in Cane Bay in St. Croix. He was hiding inside a little barrel sponge. In order for me to get my flash to actually illuminate him in that little crevice, I had to be almost completely upside down and slowly lowered myself down using breath control to take that image. And so the kicking and the sculling and the things that occur as a new diver, we really want to dial in our ability to almost be in any position safely underwater as a hover skill. Diving in current can be really fun, but also can pose some challenges in terms of getting nice stable images because of what the current is trying to do to you, particularly if that object or animal is stationary. And so the mistake I see a lot of divers make is they try to stay on the upside of the current as they approach the animal or the object, and what tends to then happen is that current, legs may come up and you get pushed on past and you're kind of upside down trying to stay with that area. The way we want to do this is swim past the object or the animal, turn around and face into the current. That way you can use your fins to gently kick and stabilize yourself to stay in position so you're not being washed away to capture that image. Again though, back to one of our other tips, be aware of the environment. If you are close to the bottom, particularly a sandy bottom or silty area, and you're kicking like crazy to try and stay in place, behind you is going to be a giant plume of sand or silt that either can cause harm to a critter's environment or suddenly there's no visibility for your other divers and you're not very popular. Nothing drives me crazier than watching a diver in order to stabilize himself lies on the sand and he's just an inanimate object on the sand. Again, we don't know what kind of harm we're doing. Or someone who's taking a sharp object and kind of digging themselves into a little piece of coral, which is a living object, to stabilize themselves. So how else can we stabilize ourselves? Well, we've already covered some of the ways. Buoyancy and hover control skills and positioning yourself appropriately within the current. Those are all going to help you become a more stable photographer. But other ways, using a tripod system. We're going to cover the exit tripod system that I've got attached to my mirrorless camera. But a tripod, there's a variety of them. It's a nice way to be able to set down the camera. Again, be conscious of where you're putting it to stabilize it and allow you to take a nice still photograph, or particularly when it comes to macro videography, you really need to be still. Any little shake of that camera is going to look like an earthquake on the image itself. Other ways that you can stabilize yourself, well, if your camera is nice and neutrally buoyant, using one finger, again, being aware of where you're going to put that finger. I've used that before just to help stabilize myself within kind of a surge or current, and using one hand on a neutrally buoyant camera to actually activate the camera. Another way you can do that is using the blunt end of a bolt snap. That way it's not sharp, it's not digging in, and we're not creating harm to the environment. Don't crowd the critter, right? So many times if you're on, say, a boat dive with a group of divers, they find a really interesting critter. Everybody wants to get a glimpse of it, take a look. Two things. Don't be the photographer who doesn't create space to allow other people to enjoy that animal in its environment. So Don't park yourself there for a half hour taking a million pictures. Try and get there, be efficient with your time, take the photographs, take the video, and then create some space for other divers to enjoy that. Or two, don't be the diver who crowds in on other people while they are either taking pictures, video, photographs, or looking at the animal. I've seen this happen many times where that photographer or videographer is so anxious to visualize this animal that they actually create a hazard to other divers by coming in over the top or trying to sneak up underneath. Be patient, but also get out of the way and allow other divers to enjoy what you're looking at. So I'm going to squeeze two tips into one here, but they both go hand in hand. For example, if you want to really become proficient and really good at underwater photography, you're going to have to develop patience. Things are going to take time to get to the point where you can take that great picture. So for example, this guy behind me, this yellowhead jawfish, you can see his whole body. He's emerged out of his little nest in the sand. Well, that took about a half hour of just hanging out and waiting for him to do just that. For example, some creatures like this yellowhead jawfish, as you approach them, he's in his little nest in the sand, he's going to disappear back down there because he thinks you're a threat. You set down your camera, you get everything set up, and he's going to start sticking his head out, and just that camera's still kind of scary until he figures out that, oh, it's not a threat to me, I'll come out to play. For other types of creatures, such as this very fast-moving sea lion, you're never going to catch up with a torpedo as it moves through the water. Or if you're dealing with creatures that are particularly nervous or kind of flighty, if you've seen our Critter Hunter Challenge where Justin asked us to track down a variety of different Caribbean butterfly fish, those fish are pretty flighty. You can't go charging in and expect them just to stay put while you take their video or photograph. And so what we try to do is be as stealthy as possible. So using some of the skills that we talked about before, buoyancy, breath control, hovering, making yourself motionless, don't scare the critter. And if you know the direction that things are moving, try to park yourself in that area so the action comes to you. Sometimes you're in the water with so many divers, it's very difficult to capture the kind of photographs or video that you want because there's just so many other people there. So consider becoming a solo or self-reliant diver. If you haven't seen it, we did a whole series previously on the pluses and minuses of being a solo diver, the gear involved, the certification process itself, and what is all that about. So check out the link up above, go check that out. But I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in the water all by myself, and it's just so enjoyable to spend as much time with one tiny little critter that you want. You don't have to worry about other divers being there. So consider solo diving. One of the main tenets about being a safe solo diver is the fact that you're going to carry with you a redundant gas system. And there's a variety of different ways that you can do that, and we've shown previously on the solo diving series the options available. For me, if I'm using a side slung bottle, which is kind of hanging down below me, that becomes a problem in terms of, particularly if I'm trying to get close to the bottom to take a photograph, this can be an impediment for me. And so I much prefer to use a back mounted system. Again, previously we've done an episode looking at the Excess Scuba pony mount system where you can take a 19 cubic foot pony mount, attach it to your back mounted main cylinder, and it's out of the way, you wouldn't know it's there. It allows the front side of you to get as low and close to the bottom as you'd like to. So check out that link. Sometimes it's just not worth it. It's not worth the danger to yourself to try and capture that particular photograph or that video. As we talked about earlier, you're exceeding your gas consumption rate, you're getting close to your non-decompression limit, or the object or subject is in an area where it's so hazardous that it is just not worth taking the photograph. Don't violate the primary objective. Come back safely from every dive, and you'll have many more diving days to come. Next up, guys, I'm going to give you a full tour of this entire system. We're going to look at it in terms of the wide angle and macro photography, the different ports, the different lenses that we're going to use, the different types of lighting for strobes and video, the housing itself, everything that makes this system. So click the link up above.